Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. So I just wanted to make a quick video for you guys of how I winterized the chicken coop for the girls. We actually have a snowstorm that's supposed to start mid-afternoon today, so we'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to walk you guys through what I did. You don't have to do anything crazy. Chickens are naturally hardy animals, and just like most animals, they acclimate to the environment around them. There are certain breeds that are more cold hardy than others. However, chickens are one of the few outdoor animals that you don't really have to worry about too much in the wintertime. You just have to do a few things in order to make sure that they're okay. Chicken's internal temperature is 105 degrees, whereas other animals it's between 97 and 103 degrees. So especially if you have a few of them, they can keep each other pretty warm. The few things that I did is that I added more hay inside of their coop, and I'm not necessarily cleaning the entire thing out, so it's kind of more of a deep litter method thing. But if it gets too soiled in there, I'll just grab like the individual pieces of poop and throw them out, but I'm not like cleaning out the entire inside of their coop, just so that way they can try to stay a little bit more warm in there. I should show you guys, but I did take plastic and wrap it around most of their coop, except the top part of the back and the side. And then I'll show you guys, I also added hay to the bottom of their floor as well, just so that way they have a little bit more of a cushion to stand on, and they're not necessarily standing on frozen ground, because that is never fun. So let me flip you guys around and show you. Okay, so this is the hay that I added, just so they're not standing on frozen mud, because that's never fun. Put that there. So I did put that down there for them. The only thing is that when it comes to their water in the wintertime, it's obviously going to freeze a lot. So you can either buy a water heater, or you're just going to have to keep coming up to make sure that their water isn't frozen. I personally, I don't know why, but like a water heater scares me. So I've just been coming out and checking their, let me let you guys out. I've been checking their water multiple times a day. And it does also help if you put hot water in there. Not like boiling hot, you don't want to burn your chicken's mouths, but the warmer the water, the longer it'll take to freeze, which also helps as well. So this is one side of the coop. You guys can see that I went and I just stapled plastic around. And if you're going to use plastic, you want to make sure it's at least 4 millimeters thick in order for it to actually be effective in keeping the wind out. This one I didn't staple completely, because as you guys saw, I have to be able to open and close the doors. The girls are looking like, what is happening? But yeah, so this is the coop. I covered it all up. So this is one of the spots that I did not cover, because like I said, I'm not really worried. I don't want it to become a total stink show in there. So I didn't cover this part, but I covered it all the way to the bottom. And then same thing over here. I covered the bottom, but I didn't cover the top. Obviously, it's also going to help keep the snow out too. I wrapped all of this around for them. I have this a little more open during the day, and then in the night I like close it a little bit more, because this is their corner to sleep right here. They all just kind of gather. This is the box where they lay their eggs, in case you can't tell, because they like to scoop all the hay out. But I did add extra hay in there for them, so that way it helps add another layer of, don't mind the mess. We're getting things fixed back here. But yeah, so that is what the chicken coop looks like. And as I said, chickens are very cold hardy birds, so you don't really have to worry about them too much. They're not like other animals that could freeze. As long as you have precautionary measures to protect them. Some tips I do have though is to, one, if you're really worried about freezing cold windshields, the only two parts of a chicken that are susceptible to frostbite are their combs and their feet. So, and their wattles. So if you want to protect them from that and feel like you need something extra, you could always put petroleum jelly on those parts of their body, or you could do coconut oil if you want something more natural. Those two things you can apply to your chickens as well, if they allow you, because you guys know chickens are sometimes a little sassy, at least mine are. So that's one thing that you could do to help them out with the cold, especially when there's freezing cold windshields. Most chickens will go inside their house though. They're pretty smart when it comes to the cold weather. They're not going to allow themselves to become frostbitten, but sometimes, you know, chickens can be a little silly. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do, obviously chickens are going to be eating more in the winter time, because the more they eat, the more they generate their own body heat by breaking down the food. So you could give them more corn in the winter time. That's something I recommend, because corn does take their body a lot longer to process, especially before bed. So if you have like a night that's gonna have super cold windshields before the girls go up in their coop for the night, you can go ahead and give them some corn, and as their body's breaking that down, it's gonna generate body heat and they'll be even warmer inside their coop overnight. So that's one thing you could do. You could also just give them more table scraps as well, because obviously they can have feed, but it's not going to take their body as long to process feed as it does table scraps, especially the corn. So just making sure you're attentive to them and making sure they're eating the appropriate amount in order to keep themselves warm. Another thing, as I mentioned earlier, is the water. You need to make sure that their water is staying unfrozen. Water is actually very important to them in helping them regulate their body temperatures. So you do want to make sure that their water is staying unfrozen, either by a water heater. You could add they say you could add a water bottle full of salt water and put that in their water to keep it from freezing, and I tried that and it has not worked at all. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, I don't know, because chickens can't actually drink salt water, so the salt water would have to be inside of a bottle that you put inside of their water, if that makes sense. So that's another way. Most people do just get water heaters for their chickens in the winter. Depending on how it goes, we might end up doing that, but as of right now, I'm just coming out and checking their water twice a day, and that seems to be working okay so far. The other thing, this seems to be the controversial thing in the chicken community, but you could add a heat supply to the coop as well. You can kind of see in my garage window right there, that's the heater that I have. You could add it to the coop if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend it unless absolutely necessary, because one, you want the chickens to be able to acclimate their bodies naturally to the colder environments, and two, there's chicken feathers, chicken dust, all this stuff that could potentially cause a fire inside of your coop and take out your whole flock. So that's another precaution to have in the back of your mind when you're thinking about whether or not to use heat in your chicken coop as well. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Like I said, chickens are cold hardy. They're cold hardy birds. They'll be okay as long as you give them a few things to help them out. You guys stay safe and warm out there in this cold front that the Midwest is having, and I will talk to you guys next time.